So what we're going to start with here is what you really want to do when you start planning for your content. And Chris is the expert in this. So basically, I'm just going to ask him a few questions. Chris, if you've got your audience, you know what your audience is, then, what do you do to start planning your content and trying to get their attention?
Well, the first thing is you have to actually identify your audience. A lot of people feel like they already know their audience, or they might feel like they're part of the audience, but you have to really pin down who your bullseye target audience is. For example, I could be creating this piece of content thinking just bloggers, but actually bloggers in general aren't all going to be interested in video, so I have to home in on the people who are most likely to want to create videos for their blog. So they're going to be people who have seen video blogs and wanted to create one, or they're going to be people who want to boost the traffic and their authority, or there might be people who want to create courses and monetize their content. So we have to focus on the people who are most likely to want to consume that content and really create a good profile of who that audience is. And that allows you to think about what those people are going to be interested in. And if you create video content that focuses on what they want and need, then you're going to get a better result.
Okay, so we've found these people online. We know where they're hanging out. How do we establish the questions that they're asking and knowing what they really want? And basically from that, do we establish the keywords for what we're doing based off of these questions?
Yeah, so there's two different ways of getting the questions. But first, as you say, you have to find out where they're hanging out. And you might have a gut instinct for where they're hanging out, or you might be part of that community. But go into Google and use the name of that community to find forums, discussion places. It might be email discussion lists, it might be social media, you might go to Twitter and Facebook, but really find out where people are hanging out in numbers and asking questions. And the trick is, if you go to a forum or if you go to social media, that's what people are doing, they're asking questions about your niche. So you find a forum and you can go to the front page of the forum and you can go into any of the sections, so you know some subject areas. For example, with blogging, one might be traffic, one might be monetization. But then you go into those forums and you find out what the most popular discussions are. And you'll find that somebody's asking a question or revealing their goals and challenges. Mm-hmm. And in a lot of forums, you can actually sort by how much of a response it's getting in terms of replies, or by how many clicks this discussion is getting. Or, like I said, you can go into social media. So you could go to search.twitter and put in the keyword of your niche. So if you're looking for blogging, find out what people are talking about in terms of blogging. And then there's sites like TweetMe, which will show you the most popular content today. So they're direct questions, but you can also use the Google keyword tools. And they've actually created one just for YouTube. Mm-hmm. So it's mostly for advertisers, but that can give you some insight. So you can put in your keyword again, which is, in this case, it'd be video or it'd be blogging, and find out what people are searching for in YouTube. And you can then create some content around that.
Right. Keep in mind when you're looking up the keywords that there might be some that you don't normally see. When I first started doing video blogging, I found out that it was called podcasting, it was called webcast, it was called vlogging. So there's a lot of different keywords that you can find using these tools, and it's critical that you get in there and figure out what those are, because there are some keywords that are underutilized and people aren't really shooting for them. It makes it very easy to rank for them.
Yeah, and also the more you naturally match the language of your audience, the better result you're going to get. Because, as Ben just said, you might call it video podcasting, but if they're calling it vlogging, then you need to use those keywords in your titles and descriptions as well. So it's not just about the intent, it's not just about the challenge that you're trying to help solve, it's also the words they use to describe it.
Right. So the next thing would be, once you have got their attention using the keywords, how do you sort of keep them in on to watch your video? Like, what do you use in the title of the video to get them in?
It all comes down to what's in it for me. So you've got to give people a benefit, and that benefit might be just entertainment, but the more you broadcast that there's a reason to watch your video and they're going to get something out of it, there's a reward, then the more you're going to get a compelling video that people are going to share and actually consume. Because video takes some effort to consume. Once you get over the 3 to 5 minute mark, you have to hold people's interest, and there has to be an end benefit. So the end benefit for listening to us is you're going to have better videos, right? But you need to tell people that. So put a benefit in the title, put a benefit in the description, and in the intro to your video. And it comes down to what's in it for me, but also keep in the back of your mind that you don't want people saying, so what? So it might be obvious to you, but you need to say, and therefore, so like I just said, and therefore you're going to have better videos that are going to get a more compelling result. You need to tell people the consequence of doing the things you advise, or following the video, or even just consuming it. You need to tell people what the payoff's going to be. So in my text content, I have to say, bottom line, this is the summary. But also, it's good to summarize your videos in the description and say, this is the benefit and this is the result you're going to get.
Also keep in mind that an emotional response in what's in it for me helps out a huge amount. When I was doing a lot of the videos, some of the best videos I've done for computer-aided design were saying things like getting a longer break so that you can have coffee and relax for a few minutes and not be frustrated. So when you tell people that if you follow these steps, you'll be less frustrated and have more time to have coffee, they'll respond to that a lot better than if you just go, this will save you time. Saving them time they're looking at is okay, but if you say save time to have coffee, then they understand that, oh, that's what I could do with this spare time, and that gets a better response than if you just said you get more time.
Yeah, and so what could be mistakes to avoid, or problems that might occur, or goofs that happen. So some of my most popular content is where I tell people mistakes I've made or things that can go wrong. So the so what isn't necessarily benefits. It could be risks, it could be problems. Are you making these kinds of mistakes? So don't just focus always on the positive at the start. You can turn it around to be a positive by saying, if you avoid these things, you're going to have a better result. If you avoid these things, you're going to do it in half the time, or you're going to make more money. So the benefit might be hidden by a problem. Problems are actually, as Ben said, a really good way of getting people's emotions, because we're hardwired. It's the rubberneck effect. When you're on the highway and there's an accident, everybody focuses on it. If you look at the news media, it's problems, problems, problems. So by having a problem, you actually get attention, but you need to turn it around to a positive and say, this is how you avoid it, or this is how you can overcome it or fix it. So the so what is important. It could be a benefit, it could be the what's in it for me in terms of a positive, or it could be avoiding a negative. So pretty much to summarise, you need to identify your audience, find out where they hang out, what they're most interested in, and actually wants usually trump needs. If anybody's tried to sell insurance, you'll know what I mean. The things we want usually is more compelling than the things we need. Deliver that, but tell people explicitly what to expect, and then summarise at the end.